Well, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. This is my day this month where I sit in the car and wait in line for a while. And I get to have some time alone with the Lord. So I always enjoy that part. Had to drive a different vehicle today, though. Don't enjoy that part. My car is a little compact, and I bought that thing brand new in 2010. And it still doesn't have 100,000 miles on it. I've taken really good care of it. Marvin always does my oil changes in it for me, and it never ever has had any major problems until this last year, and then it had major problems. But it's still having a few issues that are going to have to be taken care of as soon as we, I like to tell Marvin all the time, all we need is money. Then we can fix it. But in the meantime, it was out of gas this morning, and it's got some issues when you put gas in it. So Marvin didn't want me to stop and put gas in it and then have a problem and be stranded. So he's going to take it to go get gas. So I'll have it later today. And so in the meantime, I had to take the bigger truck. And I don't like driving big vehicles. It makes me very nervous. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it gives me anxiety now. I don't think it used to, but it does now. And it stresses me out. And so, and Marvin even was like, we name our vehicles. So the one I'm in is named Queen Esther. And he's like, you're going to have to take Queen Esther because the little car, which is named Snowflake, isn't gonna, I gotta go get gas in it. So I'm like, okay. And my eyes were real big, and I'm like, all right. And so, the whole way here, I was talking to the Lord like I always do. I do not mind being alone. I do not mind that at all because I'm not alone. And I just view it as a treasured time to be able to talk to the Lord. So I was talking to him, and, I was, talking about this. I know that I struggled with stress and anxiety as a child and getting overwhelmed. But it seems like in so many ways it's gotten much worse as I've gotten older. And that bothers me. I don't like it like that. But if you've ever had a real, not just being anxious about something, but I mean really have like an anxiety disorder, you know that you don't really necessarily have control about it coming on you. It just does. And your heart goes wonky and you can't think straight and just all kinds of sometimes you can't even see clearly. It can make your vision even seem blurry. And it's not fun. And yes, so I don't know how it works. If stress leads to anxiety, which leads to being overwhelmed, or anxiety leads to the stressed out and being overwhelmed, or to being overwhelmed and then stress. I don't know, but those three little buggers seem to walk hand in hand and hang out together, and it is not fun. So those of you that want to leave in the comments how I just need more faith and I'm not trusting in God enough or whatever, don't even bother. I've had enough people say that to me, and God's already showed me many times that it's something more than that. It's not just that. And I do believe that a lot of it ties back to the abuse I went through as a child, and feeling alone, out of control, but controlled by adults, older people, grown-ups, or even there was one, it was a high school student, but to me, they're older than me. They felt grown up when I was really little. And being controlled by them in a not good way and being hurt and not cared about and blamed then. Yeah. I learned quick, try not to cry, because if you cried, what are you crying about? This is your fault. If you weren't such a bad kid, this wouldn't be happening to you. And for those of you that haven't heard my testimony on that, it was not my parents. My parents were awesome, but they had no idea that some of the people that they trusted with me, to take care of me, were not trustworthy. So, yeah, that's a lot of I think, where this ever started to begin with. Then when I went through the darkest time of my life, oh my word, 17 and a half years ago, it's been a while, it did get worse. So I know that it did get worse, and a lot worse. So I've been trying to recover and heal ever since, and the Lord has been so gracious to me, and he has healed much of it. But what I've come to say is that there's some residue that he's allowed to stay. And for whatever reason, I trust that it's for my own good. I know I trust him. I know I trust him and stuff. So, but I was talking to him about it, and trying to work through it and understand it. And because that's me, I am very self-analytical. I'm analytical on a lot of things. It's kind of how I think and process. And so, I was talking to him and about all this stuff, and, and I don't like it and all. And anyway, this memory came back to me, because one of the things when I was talking to him is, the election's over. Donald Trump is the president-elect, and some people are very, very happy about that. And some people seem to believe the world has come to an end. So I've had different friends now that I don't have Facebook. I gave that up years ago, which was one of the best things I ever did for me. Lord told me to let it go, and I'm so glad I did. But I've got, a lot of people I know, they're on Facebook. And so I've had some different ones tell me that different people that I know that they're on Facebook, that they've gone black. And I'm like, what is that? And one of my friends, she sent me a screenshot of their Facebook page, and everything, where you would see their picture and then the banner thing, it's just black. And so I was like, what does that mean? And they said, well, that means they're not talking. They've gone black. They're shut down. They're not speaking to anybody. They're depressed. And the people that have gone black are people who really believed that Harris was going to be the right president for us, and the world would end if Donald Trump was president. And then, the ones that were really happy about Donald Trump believed that if Harris became president, the world would come to an end. And, so it probably would have been their pages black. But I knew that this kind of stuff was going to start happening. And I anticipate it may get a little more heated. And I believe we need to really be praying about, for people's protection all the way around. And, between now and January 20th, when the new president is sworn in, it could get really ugly. And then it may really, really get ugly. I don't know. I just, feel in my gut that this is... It could get bad. All right. So, that's not what I wanted to, that wasn't the main thing I want to talk about today, but I'm mentioning it because I know that right now, and I've got different ones that basically everybody I knew that wanted Harris, wanted the Harris Waltz, ticket to win. They're not talking. They're not responding to texts. They're not answering phone calls. I have only successfully talked to one person that wanted, whose candidate didn't get it, that was not a Trump supporter. And that I'm very close to that person, and and we didn't talk a lot about it. But it's definitely affecting them. And, and all I wanted to just say, you know what, the world has not come to an end. It's going to be okay. And I know the things that you're afraid of, and I don't think that's the things we should be. I don't think those are going to be the issues, but it, the Lord silenced me. It wasn't the time. Right now, it's just, I'm here. I love you. And, I try not to, when it comes to politics, I try not to get on, real big on one side or the other and get all heated up about it. I've done that. in life. And all I found was it shut out a lot of people that I still needed to be able to talk to, that it shut down relationships, and that wasn't good. It wasn't a good thing to shut a relationship down about. So, my thing has been for years now, God's in control. He puts all kings and rulers in position, because that's what a power, that's what the Bible says, the good and the evil. And, sometimes, I think I told on here about a couple elections ago when I went in to vote, and how I came out crying, fighting the tears, and then cried all the way home because I didn't like anybody. The person I wanted to vote for was not even on the ticket anymore. And, they had dropped out, and I didn't know what to do. It was very distressful for me. But I prayed when I was in my little voter booth, and I asked the Lord, what should I do? And he gave me a piece of, as I was voting, who to vote for on more than one thing, but the presidential thing was the real biggie. And I had his piece, but I also felt such a grieving in my spirit that our world, or our country was taking a turn. No matter which one of those presidents, which one of those candidates became president, our world was taking a turn. And the last election, I knew there was another twist in that turn. And this time there's another twist in that turn, because we are headed to a destiny of the end times, and I do believe we are under the judgment hand of God. Now, I'm not saying Trump is his judgment against us. I'm just saying that things are going to get tougher than they already have. And the economy might get better for a while. And we need to be mindful of that and planning for when it's not. So we should be preparing, just like in Egypt, the 7 years of plenty before the 7 years of famine. And Egypt was the only place in the world that had food, because God had put Joseph there in his wisdom, and was able to put up all the grain that was needed for the famine that was coming, a massive famine. And so in the years of plenty, they did not play around. They worked very hard to make sure they would be covered for the 7 years of famine that would follow. So, little side note, what I wanted to talk about was just that when you have to do something scary or go through something hard, and telling God that I wanted to feel at peace, I wanted courage, I wanted to be strong. And I could remember when I was younger, many times when strength came into me and chased out the anxiety and the fear and the stress and all of that, and I was able to do what I needed to do because nobody else was. And this memory that came to me, something I've never forgot, but it's the one that really came up strong, was when I was a kid, probably 5th or 6th grade. I don't think I was in junior high yet. And back then, I don't do Halloween at all anymore. I stopped that many years ago. I stopped that when my kids were still growing up. They probably still resent me for it. But when I was a kid, there was Campus Life used to do a haunted house, and then they had like a testimony thing at the end, where they presented salvation. But truthfully, before you ever got to that part, or if you even stayed for that part, you just went through a scary haunted house where people were dressed up like scary bloody things jumping out at you and all. And anyway, I remember a bunch of my girlfriends, my friend Becky, who passed away this last year. Still miss her. Gonna miss her forever. Still have times when I'm like, I need to check on Becky. And yeah. So anyway, she was there, and Janet and Shelly Belly and Tracy and Sue, and I can't remember. Anyway, we were all still pretty young, and anyway, we were going to go through this haunted house, and they were just scared to death, terrified about going into that haunted house, and I was too. I don't like to be scared. But then something rose up in me that they were all afraid, and they needed somebody who wasn't afraid. And that was going to be me. And I would protect them, and I would be there for them and comfort them, and I would help guide them through that haunted house to get us through as fast as we could get through. And this was going to be it was going to be okay. And so I don't know if I started to tell them that, or if I just was, they could tell a calmness come over me, but they all started huddling in around me. And I got to, the tallest I ever was in life was 5'7". And I had reached 5'7" probably by the 6th grade or 5th grade even. I grew real tall real fast, and then I just stopped. I remember everybody, my doctor kept, would tell my mom, oh, she's going to be over 6 foot tall. She's so tall, and she's, and so I was bracing myself to be over 6 foot, and I never got over 5'7", which is fine. That was much better, I think, than I was happier at that than I would have been at over 6 foot, but maybe not. I don't know. Anyhow, so I was always much taller than my friends until they started to catch up to me in, like late junior high and high school is when they caught up to me. But until then, they were, always much smaller than me. And I remember feeling like this big old mama hen with all her little baby chicks gathered around her. And I just kind of, huddled them all in. And when it was our turn to go in, we went in. Now, my dad, who had taken us, he went through it with us, so he wouldn't lose us. He was a good protective parent. But I remember, I wasn't even thinking about him and that, because my dad, now if it was my mom, oh, she'd had us huddled around and I'll protect you and all. My dad, he's standing back. He's giving us our distance. Sometimes we'd forget he was there. But I remember several times looking back and seeing my dad in the shadows behind all of us. He kept a distance back so we could still just be our silly girls and have fun. And just seeing him just smiling at me like he was so proud of me. And I remember feeling as I was going through there, and nothing was scaring me. Something would jump out. I'm like, it's just a person in a costume. It's okay. Wipe your tears or come in closer to me. I'll keep you safe or whatever, to my little friends. And we got through there, and it never even fazed me. And we got to the other end, and I also remember thinking, I don't need to do this anymore. This is stupid. And then feeling like something significant had happened. I knew I'll always remember this because something feels so significant about it. I just don't know what. And also feeling like I grew up that day. Like I kind of became an adult today or something. A grown-up. And I'm sure my friends were, you're so brave, you're so courageous. I can't believe that didn't even scare you. And my dad, so proud of me. And I kind of knew that day that there'll be times when nobody's going to lead and somebody has to step up and be a leader. And I've been through times like that. And I have no problem that, I'll kind of, weigh out what's going on in the room and like, okay, when Marvin and I got married, the gal that was supposed to be our wedding coordinator, she was there, but she wasn't feeling good. And she was really struggling. She needed to just go home is what she needed to do. But she was like, I don't want to let you down. But she couldn't really, she was feeling sick. And so I just was like, okay, no problem. All right, everybody, I need your attention. Here's what we're going to do. And so because I can do that, people, there was a joke the next day at the wedding that our preacher put in there, good old Adam, about, because Marvin had put in a section into our marriage, into our wedding that I didn't know about. and it was a surprise for me, and it was wonderful, and it made me cry and everything. But, I thought, okay, we're at this part where now we're supposed to, he's going to announce us as man and wife. And, then the wedding party will go out and everybody else will come down, and we're going to go have pulled pork barbecue. And he goes, well, before I pronounce Marvin and Angie, we have one other thing we need to do. And I turned around and I looked at him like, no, we don't. And he goes, yeah, we do. He goes, Marvin has a surprise for you. And he goes, you don't always have to be in control, Angie. You don't always have to know what's going on. And everybody laughed because, yes, that's what they felt, about me and stuff. And, and sometimes I can be where I do need to be in control because I feel like I need to be in control because everything's out of control. And that's a whole nother thing, kind of controlling. But this is just, the day before, it just been, hey, we need a leader. Nobody else is going to step up. So here I am. And I've done that before. And, and then if some people look at me as controlling, I just kind of brush it off, no, this is a little different. We need a leader. Okay. And if you're not going to be the leader, then I will. And, and when I'm in a situation, okay, like I remember a long time ago, this woman had been very cruel to me, and she had tried to turn a lot of people against me, and I don't remember what the thing was about, but it was something, where she wasn't happy about something, and so she was going to make me pay for it, and she was very nasty to me. Then there was an accident, and she was injured, and I was there, and I got through everything. I mean, I got over every obstacle to get to her as quick as I could and to start taking care of her, because I used to be medically trained too. And actually, this was before. No, it wasn't. It was after. It was after. Anyway, shortly after. But it wasn't because I was medically trained. I mean, that was a plus, but it was because somebody was hurt and scared and terrified, and somebody needed to be there to comfort them and strengthen them and be somebody for them to lean on and to get them through and be like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And so I pushed through everybody, because people were just kind of standing there looking in shock, like, did that just happen? And I'm like, I'm getting to her. And I got up there to her and I started taking care of her. And the first thing I did was give her, because it was safe to give her a hug, was give her a big hug and say, I know this is scary, but it's going to be okay. And I'm here, and I'm not going to leave you until the ambulance gets here and takes you from me. I'm going to be with you all the way, and whatever you need, I'm going to do whatever I can for you. And I remember she started to cry, a different kind of crying, because she already was crying because she hurt, but this was a different kind of crying. And I kind of looked at her. She's like, why are you doing this for me? I'm like, because you're hurt and you need somebody to be here. Yeah, but why are you doing it? I have been so mean and nasty to you. I go, right now I could care less. That doesn't matter. Right now you're in need, and I can meet that need. So I'm here. And I remember thinking that I didn't even give it another thought. I never even thought about when that happened. Everything happened so quick and so fast, and she was injured. It never crossed my mind that this woman's been being nasty to me, and, she deserves to be. That thought never crossed my mind, or that, well, somebody else can take care of her. No. And even when she mentioned it, that was the first time that came to my mind, that, oh, yeah, you have been being really nasty to me, and you have had a whole campaign against me. But I never felt the need to hold it against her. Now, I think that's Jesus in me, honestly, because I think that our human instinct is maybe to stop for a minute going, well, maybe you deserve it, because we get our feelings hurt, or we get injured, emotionally or whatever, and our reputation is damaged, whatever happens. Our candidate didn't win, what? But I have not, Jesus in me gives me strength when I don't have it. And he gives me the comfort I need when I don't have it. And I've gone through some things here lately. I've shared some stuff with you guys. I'm pretty open where I can be. I will get cryptic at times if I'm trying to protect someone. But, I'm pretty open about stuff that's going on. And my mom has been gone now for a little over 6 years. 6 years and some days. And I think 6 years and a week. But I was crying like a little kid the other day. I'm an old woman, but I was crying like a little kid because I missed my mom. And I was missing my mom in that moment because I was very overwhelmed by some stuff that was thrown at me. And, and I didn't quite know, it just was too much, and I couldn't think straight, and I didn't know what to do. And, and like I said, I've struggled with that, in my life, even as a child. But even after the darkest time of my life, when I would go through stuff, my mom was there. And she had a gift for being able to calm the situation, settle everything down, simplify it. We'll take care of this. Here's what, it's one little thing at a time. Don't look at the whole thing right now, or it's going to be okay. She just knew how to make it okay, to where, it didn't make the problem go away, but it made it to where, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Like when I didn't get the part in the spring musical that I'd been promised. And it was my dream, a lifelong dream, to play this part in this musical, this lead. And so here I was in high school, and we were going to do that musical. In fact, when they were asking about musicals, I asked, could we do that one? And everybody's like, yeah, let's do that one. So, and then as we were going through and all the tryouts and all the preparation and stuff, I was very involved. And anyway, the director had said, you are going to have that part. You're a shoo-in for it. He even had me go and get measured for the costumes so that our lady that did our wardrobes could get a head start on it, because my character had a lot of costume changes. And so I'd already been measured for the costumes. He had already given me the script or whatever. I don't even remember is that what you call those things? High school is the last time I ever did anything like this, I think. Anyway, I was already learning my lines. I was already working with the vocal teacher on the songs. I was already becoming that person for that role. I was all in, and they had already put things in line because he knew I was going to be the one. Well, then something happened, and there was a change, the night that the final call sheet went up. And when I went in the next day, well, even before I got there, kids were saying, have you seen the call sheet yet? And I'm like, no, I was going to go look at it, see who got what. And they're like, you're going to be upset. You don't have that part. You're understudy. I'm like, what? No, I'm not. Yeah, you're the understudy. This other girl got the part. And she was only a sophomore, and they usually gave the leads to the seniors, but there were no seniors that year that could carry a lead, and I was a junior, and so I was given that part, only it was taken away from me and given to this other girl. And I remember too, when everything was said and done, people wanting me to say bad stuff about her and what a horrible job she did. But I was like, no, she did a great job. And, it wasn't the right thing to do. But that day I was so devastated, and I called my mom up and told her what happened. And she said, just come home. And when I got home, she was, waiting for me with a hug, and we sat down and we talked, and, and she let me cry, and just blow off steam and everything of what I was feeling. And then she said, but I had gotten, even though I was understudy for the lead, I'd gotten a little bit part. And I had one little solo. And my mom said, you're going to do the best job that anybody's ever done on that little part and that little solo. You're going to blow them away, showing them what you can do. You're not going to worry about that it's not the lead. You're going to do your best. And I did. And, and I was able to go through the whole thing, and I felt pretty good about it. And so, yeah, I was, I got through that okay, and it all turned out all right. And, by the end, when people were wanting me to badmouth her, there was no reason to. And it was just, my mom was that person that could help you do something with dignity, and and different things I went through in life that were hard. She just was that person that kind of evened it out. And I hope I've got some of that from her. But I was telling the Lord, as you get older, you don't have as many of those people, those key people left in your life, because they've died and gone on to be home with you, and, be with him. And here I am, trying to get through. And, but the good thing is, as in, I think it was my last video, so I'm learning to lean on him. So I'll tell you, I got down here in old Queen Esther, the big rig, and no stress. There was a few little things I feel a little nervous, because I'm always like, can I see good enough? I think that's a lot of it. It's harder to see around all the, and to know where I am in space, in a space. And so, for parking and all this other stuff that I'm having to do, but it's not really that big a deal, and it's fine. It's going to be fine, and it's going to be okay. And I'll live. So the anxiety is gone. So where I have, had to lean on, where I have been able to lean on other people, I'll say that over the years, a lot of those people are gone, or I'm just by myself, like today. So they're not here to lean on. Jesus is always with me, and he always lets me lean on him, and he does an even better job than any of them do. And I'm going to get through it okay. And you're going to get through it okay. And there are times when somebody does need us, when somebody does need me. And I want to be that calm, not just have all these pat answers and, but just sometimes just be a shoulder to lean on, an ear to listen. So I don't know how many more days the Lord has given me, and, thousands, hundreds, tens, I don't know, I don't know how many, what he's given me for what he's wrote in his book before they ever existed, all the days that he has ordained for me. So I don't know when my expiration date is, or how close or how far away I am from it. But hopefully, before I get there, I'll get this thing figured out. And because I know tougher times are coming, harder things are going to be in front of me. And I may have 4 years right now that's going to be a little bit more, maybe a little bit of rest, maybe a little bit of the economy getting better, and maybe food will get a little more affordable. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. But when there are good days, when there are good times, I need to not just waste that day. When there are, as the Lord provides the means for different things, I need to make sure that I am going to him for how to use those means, what to do with things, and what I need to do to be prepared. But I tell you, I know this. More importantly than being prepared physically, financially, even health-wise, The most important thing is being prepared spiritually. All those other things are actually pretty easy to do. So I'm just going to close out because I've been on here long enough, and pretty soon I'm going to have to do something here. Well, they'll be moving our line or whatever, but I just want to leave it with this. Are you pressing in with Jesus? Are you getting in to the Word of God? Are you strengthening yourself spiritually? Are you investing there? Or are you just focused on all the other stuff? Because I'm telling you, this much I do know. I've lived long enough to have gained this much wisdom. You need to press in with the Lord. If you don't know Jesus, you need to get to know him, because he's the only one that's going to get us through. He's our judge. The Lord is our judge. The Lord is our lawgiver. The Lord is our King. It is he, and only he, who will save us. Just because right now you think, I don't need to be saved from anything. My guy's in office. It's all going to be good. I told you guys this before. It really didn't matter who was going to win. There's going to be a problem either way. So, whether you voted for this president or not, listen, there's been people that have become president that's not the guy I voted for. But I do know this. The Word of God tells me I'm supposed to be praying for them. Whether I was in favor of them going in office or not, I'm to be praying for them. So whether you voted for Biden or not, you need to be praying for him for these last weeks that he's got left. And whether you voted for him or not, you need to be voting or praying for President Trump and the 4 years that are ahead of him. So, and actually, whether you voted for Kamala Harris or not, you probably need to be praying for her. I'm praying for her and Waltz. I'm going to keep praying for them for a while. She's your vice president still, but I don't know what it is that she's going through now that she lost. I did see her briefly with her. She did finally do a little concession speech, and I didn't think she looked good or sounded good. And she didn't want to do it. She was basically made to do it, as I understand. So this loss has hit her hard. She's a person. She matters. And she's going through some stuff right now. And what she needs is Jesus. It's what everybody needs. And she needs him to comfort her and minister to her. So I believe that one of the places where we have really failed as Christians is praying for our leadership. So we need to be doing that. I'm just going to tell you, if you're my brother or sister in Christ out there, I hope you're praying for your leaders, because if you're not, you need to. And I think everybody needs to get in the Word of God. He says that if we'll search for him with all our heart and all our soul, that we will find him. So, yeah. That's all I'm really concerned about. It's because I know that one day, I heard somebody say the other day, well, if I ever die, and then they made the joke, well, I guess they say if you live long enough, you will die. Guys, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. It is appointed to every person once to be born and to die. So you're not going to cease to exist when your body dies. Your spirit's going to go on. So right now, I talk about being prepared for what's to come. Yeah, are you even working at being prepared for what will happen when your body dies? Because that's the most important prep you can make. Okay, I'm seeing too many people moving around now, so I better go before I get interrupted. Already have people looking at me like, what is she doing? I'm having a good time. That's what I'm doing. All right. Yeah, there's getting to be a lot of people here. All right. I love you guys. I will talk to you later. You take care. Bye.